Please be seated. Thank you. I believe the time allocated for the two pieces of extra information was sufficient. One is an extension to comments from the Cabinet, and the one was an amendment. So, before we, Councillor Blakely, just want to explain to you what it was. I won't go through it again, okay? Thank you. I will now continue moving where I was at the point where I asked the leader to introduce his paper. He finished. Are there any questions in relation to that report? Yes, okay. Well, we've got 4 questions. I'll give it all that ladies first. So, yes. Please, Jean.
Thank you, Mr. It's a question for the leader of the council. Would the leader of the council agree that the report of the Corporate Peer Challenge team, following their return visit to the council in May of this year, was extremely positive and represents a valuable health check from external level government experts? The council is on the right track in its improvement journey.
Councillor Roberts?
No, they don't have to answer it.
No. All questions are asked first. Please follow the script. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question to the leader of the council is, will the leader of the council join with me in welcoming the announcement that Wirral was one of the 9 councils announced by the government for round 2 of the whole base community budget pilots?
Councillor Gilchrist.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could I ask the leader about the combined authority and the progress on that, and what other work it has in hand to try to secure some additional European funding for our area based on his recent visit to Brussels?
Councillor Hammond.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's about corporate peer challenge, and I'd like to ask the leader of the council whether, in fact, in view of the alleged direction of travel of this council, it is acceptable to get a piece of advice like this at the last minute as we walk in on a piece of paper that a motion that has in fact been published in accordance with the rules of the council.
Councillor Davis, would you like to respond to those?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, to Councillor States and Corporate Peer Challenge reports. Yeah, I do agree. It was very, I think, reassuring more than anything else that the direction of travel in the work that we've done around the improvement plan. Pay tribute to my deputy leader, Councillor Butler, who's led the council on that. They were extremely complimentary, and I think one of the pleasing aspects of the Corporate Peer Challenge team, because we had the report back from Rob Vincent, the lead member of that Peer Challenge team at the member development event for those members who attended. I know not everybody did. Was that it was a kind of think a sort of vindication really of the focus that we've been giving to putting this council on a sustainable financial footing, making sure that the organisation development was on the right track, making sure that some of the issues to do with corporate governance were addressed, and I think they were also complementary of some of the new thinking around constituency committees and the transformational change programme. Still a lot of work to be done. We accept that, but I think it was good that we had external recognition. And remember, there were member peers on that peer challenge team from all 3 parties. And I think they were unanimous in saying yes, Wirral is on the right track. And it was heartening for me to get acknowledgement of that at the LGA annual conference a couple of weeks ago in Manchester, where again I think Wirral is seen as leading the way on the whole kind of sector-led improvement model. So I think I'd like to say a big thank you to members, but also the officers for, led by the Chief Exec, for the tremendous efforts that everybody's put in to moving us forward on the journey. On the whole-based community budget pilot, Councillor Councillor Denise Roberts. Yeah, it was very pleasing to get the announcement at the LGA annual conference. I'm really glad I went. To hear that the Secretary of State announced that Wirral was one of 9 authorities who are in round 2 of the community budget pilots. The initiative, I think, really does very much kind of play into our improvement agenda. I think there's some really interesting work that's been done by the round 1 authorities, Essex, Greater Manchester, the Tri-Borough Partnership, and Cheshire West and Chester. And we'll certainly be learning from those round 1 pilots. But what I think it does show is that those 4 authorities in round 1, they're projecting savings of sort of £800 million over 5 years. So in terms of our financial challenge, which we're all, I'm sure, acutely aware of, I think it will help with that. I would like to see us focus on areas, I mentioned the constituency committees, which I think is a really exciting venture. You know, will require new skills really for councillors. The whole agenda around more integration between health and social care, and other areas that I think we can bring some really useful working on around the troubled families agenda. So we'll know more later this month. I think there's a meeting in London, but I think it was just great to get that again, national recognition that Wirral is getting noticed as being moving forward. So that was very pleasing. Councillor Gilchrist, you asked about the combined authority. Yeah, clearly this is a development that we've said that we in principle need to pursue. The government, as you know, in the wake of the Lord Heseltine report, no stone unturned about how we can achieve sustainable growth in this country. The government has said that the additional monies, and Lord Heseltine asked for 49 billion, George Osborne announced 2 billion over 5 years, so it was 5% of what Lord Heseltine passed. Well, nevertheless, it would be, I think, remiss of us if we did not try to ensure that for the benefit of both the whole city region and Wirral, we didn't get a bigger slice of that particular cake as we can. And therefore, the combined authority, the focus thinking at the moment is that we will focus on economic development, regeneration and transport, strategic issues that clearly cut across local authority boundaries. And I've seen some press reports refer to this as a super council. This is not kind of recreating Merseyside County Council by another name. This is on those specific areas where the government have made money available for growth, that I think it makes sense for us to pull resources. And the key thing for me is we need to make sure that we are lobbying government to devolve and decentralise more powers and resources from Whitehall to Wirral and to Merseyside. You asked, in terms of the timetable, just to make clear, we have to have an expression of interest into government by the end of July. We have to have our detailed proposal in September. I believe, and looking to the Chief Executive, we will need a special council meeting ultimately to agree the bid that we put in, and that will also be the case for the other Merseyside districts. And then there's a parliamentary process that we need to go through, and the aim is to try and get this combined authority in place by April of next year, which will have a clear governance structure to it. Meetings will be held in public, minutes will be kept, etc. And it will have a formal kind of legal entity. As I've said before, the 2 models that the government put forward around this to get to access this funding. One was the directly elected city region mayor, which I personally don't support, and the other one was the combined authority. I can see lots of benefits in going down the combined authority route. However, I'm happy to give members kind of the assurance that I mentioned this to the 2 other leaders on Friday at the Leaders Board, that where we are at the moment, we've agreed in principle to move to this model. There's lots of work going on behind the scenes. Graham is certainly leading the work on behalf of the Merseyside Chief Executives to put the detail in place. And as soon as I've got something more substantive to bring to Council, I'm happy to share that with the other two leaders and members more generally. On the issue of European funding, yes, I did attend a meeting, a kind of delegation from the Liverpool City region last Thursday, where we went to meet with Commissioner Hahn, who's the Commissioner in charge of structural funding, because the government recently announced allocations for the European programme, and the allocations that they announced would mean, if they were confirmed, a 60% cut in Merseyside's European funding allocation for the new programme 2014-20. I think that is just not defendable. I really don't, given the importance of European regional development funding to many of our regeneration projects, Wirral waters, and so on and so forth. So I am the lead sort of member on the City Region Cabinet for European issues, so I went with a delegation including the Mayor of Liverpool and the Arlene McCarthy, MEP for the North West, and there was a delegation there from South Yorkshire who were in a similar position. You know, it is not, I think it is not justifiable that Merseyside still has one of the poorest regions in the country. We are some 80% of the GDP of the EU average, and yet other more affluent areas are getting more money than Merseyside in the new programme. I cannot begin to understand how you can justify that, given our relative deprivation. The other thing I can't understand is that the government gave a safety net to the devolved administration, so they can't suffer a cut more than 5% of what they get at the moment, but we're unwilling to agree a safety net for Merseyside. So I think there are big questions that need to be asked about the methodology that has been used to agree this, and also I think it's kind of strange that European funding has gone to many, what I would regard as being very affluent areas in the south of England, Hertfordshire, Berkshire, Thames Valley. I just can't understand how they can be getting substantial chunks of European, yet Merseyside's funding is being cut by 60%. So the meeting was to make those points to the Commissioner. Reassuringly, and kind of quite heartening for me, sorry Mr. Mayor, the Commissioner made it very clear that these funds that the government have announced have not been agreed by the Commission. There is a process of negotiation before they're confirmed. They won't be confirmed to November, and therefore, whilst I understand he couldn't commit himself in advance of the start of negotiations with Member States, I think he saw that the kind of fundamental principle that the Commission hold dear, that your European funding should be based on your relative deprivation, has prima facie not been followed by UK government. So I think it is important that we keep the pressure up, and I make no apologies for going to Brussels to try and return millions of pounds of European funding to Merseyside. I think that's an important job that I do on behalf of the people of Wirral and the people of Merseyside. And finally, the final question from Councillor Hardy. Yes, was it right that we got the advice so late on tonight? I mean, I think, in an ideal world, it would have been nice to have the advice 2 weeks ago. But, just in defence of the Chief Executive, I know you were, Graham, taking kind of legal advice right up to the last minute. And I think it was just, pragmatically, I think he brought the advice just as quickly as he could. I think it was quite right and proper that there was an adjournment for members to properly digest that advice. I hope that you've heard that, but I think it was just a recognition of the fact that it was important to make sure we got the correct legal advice to report back to Council before we made a decision on the motion, which we'll be talking about later on tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Council is now invited to note the report. Is that agreed? Thank you. We're moving on to the Cabinet Member portfolio on adult social care. Are there any questions? Councillor Rowe.
Chairman, I welcome the introduction of Caring for Carers, a new strategy for carers for 2013-16, which you refer to in your report and which is currently being consulted on. Can the Cabinet member with responsibility for adult social care set out please the overall aim of the strategy and the underlying principles behind this?
Well,
My apologies, Mr. Mayor, I didn't quite hear what you said, I didn't realise that you just counted the house.
okay.
My question is for the council.
Okay, I apologise for that. Put my mic on. Councillor Jones, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Councillor Clark, for giving me a chance to talk a little bit more about the carers strategy. I'd like to emphasise the vital role played by carers in supporting their loved ones on the road. At the moment, there are about 40,000 carers, which is 12.5% of the population, which is well above the national average. About a quarter of these people provide over 50 hours of care a week, and about 1,500 are identified as young carers, and some of these are as young as 4 years of age. These figures underline the importance of having a strategy which is based on the principles of the national strategy for carers, that it will be informed by local priorities. It will build on the already established good work, identify gaps in provision and inform commissioning intentions for the future to ensure that the right support is in place to enhance the quality of life for carers. It will do this by improving ways of identifying carers and helping them to have better access to information and support, and it will build stronger links with education and training to help these carers continue working if they wish to and to have a life outside of their caring role. And we will promote better working relationships with GPs and other professionals to help maintain and improve the carers' health and well-being. The overall vision for carers is that they will feel supported in their role, feel valued within their communities, and have the importance of their role recognised by professionals. And I look forward to bringing the results back. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
The council is now invited to note that report. Is that agreed? Moving on to the Cabinet portfolio, central and support services. Are there any questions? Councillor Eden.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wonder if the Cabinet member could tell us how much or justify why they're paying an interim head of ITT £16,000 a month, why we're about to spend a further £80 on consultants, and why he's intending to replace the council's expense 5 Wirral Unison computers.
Councillor Joe. Sorry. Hang on. Well, he asked the questions first, and then I will get the Cabinet member to respond. It wasn't. Councillor Joe Watts.
Oh, thank you. That's Councillor Jones. Please tell us what happens about the calls with employ 8 apprenticeships and 1 computer set.
Councillor Rock Gregson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Question relates to reports 1, 2 and 3 and Sir Adrian Jones. Microsoft assumed to stop supporting Windows XP. So why are we only now looking to invest so much money in the new ICT kit when other councils do so after just 4 or 5 years? Also, by using this out-of-date apparatus, is there a security risk to staff or elected members who wish to use their own email systems when working from home? And finally, what steps are we taking to find other bodies to share services with?
Councillor Tony.
My question is for Adrian as well, regarding business process and welfare reform. Can you please expand on the practical effects of these changes on family life in Wirral?
Thank you very much.
Well,
just a bit of history here, Jeff. I'm not sure how good your memory is. But the money that has been spent was voted in January 2010. At that time, of course, the Liberals had not yet popped out of bed and into your bed. But I would have expected the Lib Dems to have, with you, in the year that followed, actually started some of the improvement work that's necessary in ICT, because the consequence of you sitting on it in 2010 is that most of our equipment is now 3 years older than it was then, and the dilapidation and the obsolete condition that it's in has worsened because of that delay. The cost of the expertise that we've had to hire is a bargain at the price, considering the dilapidation that you were contributing to. I'll give you a little bit more detail on it if I can find the notes that
Your expected answer. Will you just email your expected answer?
Please.
You see, quite apart from anything else, we are working, and one of the reasons why we have engaged somebody with the necessary expertise is that we're working with the Cheshire Shared Service, project in 3 areas. Cheshire West and Cheshire have expertise in the implementation of social care systems with the objective of optimising services to clients in the most efficient way. I hope you don't think it's a bad idea to do that as well. One of the Cheshire West managers is now working 2 days a week with DASS and CYPD on planning of the implementation effort for our replacement social care system when it's chosen. Wirral IT is also researching options to move our data centres out of the Treasury building. This is a very complex project, given that Wirral has some 320 servers and many very sophisticated systems. One option is to share Cheshire Data Centre in Chester. Half their building is empty and has the space to accommodate our equipment, but there are cost and communication issues to resolve, and they have to be resolved with the best possible expertise that we can have. Now, Jeff, I'm aware of what your attitude is to IT, because you made it plain in last week's Globe, when you seemed to be arguing for us to ask our staff to return to some sort of system where perhaps they dip Bruce Wills into an octopus bladder full of sepia and scratch their nose out that way. Well, we're not having it. As far as we're concerned, it's absolutely necessary for our IT to be up to date, the same as it is in other councils. Apart from anything else, the systems that we're using couldn't anyway go on before for more than 3 4 months, because in early 2014, Microsoft will discontinue their support for XP, and all of our kit has to be renewed, refreshed, or updated, so we can accommodate Windows 7 and the other more modern systems we've got to have. So we go partly to the back of your wish to conserve the application, and really conservative, but tricky conservative the application. It's just something that we're not going to go for. I'll move on to the other question. Joe Walsh asked, what's happening about the proposal to employ 8 of them? Well, that's in my way.
Choosing not to answer. Council agreement. Adrian Jones, opportunity to answer the questions. It's not the opportunity.
The answer to Joe Walsh's question is about the decision to employ 8 apprentices in parts of the countryside. Is that they have been engaged, they've been to their interviews, all they need is to get their medical checks done, and we're then ready to employ them, probably on the same date, and it's imminent. I'm happy to say that of the 8, 2 of them are young women, so that's a very good indication of balance in what we've got. Tony Aubrey asked me what the question on business processes. I have to say on that the government's welfare reform programme has seen a considerable number of significant changes And the consequence of those changes in Wirral for many of our people are absolutely devastating. I don't think I really need to say what the effect is of the welfare reform bill, of the bedroom tax and all those things, because we see it all around us every day. If the Conservatives are not getting the complaints that we're getting, then it's probably because, and the Dems, it's probably because people who are suffering from the terrible hardships inflicted on them by this government are far more likely to bring their complaints to a Labour councillor than they would to one on that side of the House. And I think that's enough.
Caught me by surprise there, Adrian. I was expecting to call you. Thank you. I invite the council to note that report. Is that agreed? Thank you. We move on then to cabinet portfolio of children's services. Are there any questions to Councillor Tony Smith? Thank you. Wendy?
Mr. Mayor, I note that in Councillor Smith's report, he tells us that of new referrals referred to a social worker during the year ending March 2013, over 80% were carried out within timescale. Well, during that municipal year, the Overview and Scrutiny Committee used to receive reports on two indicators. One was around the percentage of initial assessments within 10 working days. That used to be around 75%. And the percentage of core assessments within 35 days was at about 67%. Unfortunately, our recent Families and Wellbeing Policy and Performance Committee didn't get any up-to-date figures. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm asking Tony to tell me which of these indicators has increased so impressively to reach 80% by the end of the year. I would love to hear it's both of them. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Ron Abbey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I ask the Cabinet for Children's Services, can you update the Council on the important vision today for our children's care?
And Councillor Tony.
Cabinet Member for Children's Services explained to the Council the new framework for delivering services to children, schools and families, please.
I invite Councillor Swinton.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. First of all, thanks for coming. Wendy, I haven't got the actual figures here, so I certainly need to check out that. I'm surprised that we didn't get that overview and scrutiny. It should be, the performance indicator should have been reported, and it has been brought to my attention. I certainly would have looked into that, but I certainly will look into it now, find out why we didn't have that kind of information. Thanks, Councillor Abbey, for that question on safeguarding children with care update. Can I say that on this, I mean, it's a good opportunity really to be able to share this information with the full council, because quite often it's quite a small sort of narrow group of people that know exactly what is happening. And children in care are our responsibility as a council, you know, and they're the children that we have got the greatest responsibility for. And at the end of March 2013, we had 270 children, as you've seen in the report, with a child protection order, which is in line with the statistical neighbours. And we received over 3,778 new referrals during the year. And I'm delighted to say that 93% of those went on to be assessed by a social worker, with advice and guidance being provided to 77%. And over 80% of assessments are completed within the time scale.